It is currently 2:42 a.m. and I'm just sitting here just thinking about the state of the world, the state of the internet in particular. And it's kind of funny cuz it really does feel like the internet kind of peaked a couple years ago, or I should say internet culture peaked, not the internet itself, because this shit is only going to expand and get more huge and more crazy and more ludicrous over time. But the thing that kind of seems like it really peaked was people being able to use the internet as a space for personal edification, education, a place that you can better yourself and find a community maybe. And it's interesting when you think about the scale of something like that because I read this thing that was talking about libraries in the first library system and how the first modern public library was created in the 1800s. Obviously, libraries have existed forever. This was in the UK, I think, just a thing that was okay, anybody can come get a library book for free, right? So we're talking the 1800s, this system was put in place, and it has persisted until now. Obviously, people don't use them as much, but it was this huge revolutionary kind of thing, a place where information is stored and gathered, and you can come get it for free. That is crazy. And you think about the scale of a project like that and how life-changing that is for so many people, how many people came up in public libraries. I came up in a public library. There was one right next to the house that I lived at, and I was there literally all the time. They had, computers, early internet access, and it was fucking lit. But the thing that I think is interesting is the fact that this system, the library system, I'm going to use as an example, persisted for hundreds of years before the popularity of it kind of tapered off. Popularity, effectiveness maybe is a better word. We're talking 150 years before this thing became less relevant. It's funny because the internet, this massive global life-shattering crazy force that exerts itself on every single one of our lives, has only been around for 30 years? I know the internet has been around for longer than that, but the World Wide Web, what we call the internet, consumer internet, that's only been around for 30 years, or a little over 30 years maybe. And it's already at a point where it's kind of in shambles. It feels like a little bit information isn't as reliable as it used to be. People, you don't even know if they're real on the internet anymore. And it's almost like a story of suffering from its own success because the shit got too big, it got too advanced so fast that now it's I don't even know if people are real on here anymore, especially comments. There's still pretty good signs. You can kind of tell if someone is AI based on voice or face. The technology's not quite there yet, but I mean, think about where we were at 5 years ago with this shit. Remember Will Smith eating spaghetti? And how everyone laughed at that. Look how dumb the computers are. Dude, it couldn't possibly make Will Smith eat spaghetti. Will Smith will never eat spaghetti accurately on a video. Then Will Smith eating spaghetti became this litmus test for these AI video generators, and it's getting pretty damn close, guys. It's getting pretty close. But it's it kind of brings me to this other thing I was thinking about, nostalgia and how we kind of engage with nostalgia, and it's just very interesting to me because when I was a kid, I grew up in the 2000s, right? So I, was there for all the Y2K shit, fucking frosted tips, baggy jeans, all this stuff, and then into the skinny jeans era and stuff. And I had a good time. I'm not going to lie, I had a good time. I don't regret growing up in that era at all. I think, I'm biased, obviously, but I think it was the best era that I could have grown up in. But the one thing that I didn't feel when I was a kid was nostalgia for an era that I didn't grow up in. I never cared that I didn't grow up in the 80s or the 90s, and there's all this media now about different eras and stuff, and everything's an aesthetic now, right? Oh, the 80s were so aesthetic. I want to put, fucking spike my hair up and put sequins in my jacket or something. I don't know. Whatever they were doing in Stranger Things. I don't really know. But now 90s nostalgia, Y2K nostalgia, it's really big now, right? Someone who was born in 2010 is 16 years old now, which aside from making me feel old as shit, it's just interesting that someone who's that age doesn't really feel as much nostalgia for their own era. Like, there's a lot of romanticization of the Y2K era, and people being like, a lot of kids even being just like, oh, I wish I could have grown up in that era, dude. It looks so cool, it looks so fun. And it's just like the fact that there are kids now who are nostalgic for the time that I grew up when I'm not even that much older than them. Does that speak to something about where we're at right now? Because it kind of just feels like the kids who are nostalgic for like Y2K or the 90s or whatever, they're not really nostalgic for like necessarily the aesthetic, although there is that, or like the stuff, the products, the brands, the music. It's all kind of wrapped up into this one thing, but it feels kind of like people are increasingly nostalgic for an era that they perceive as maybe more authentic than where we're at right now. Kind of begs the question, like, did the internet sort of peak in 2016? Like, before we all realized that Pokemon Go was just tracking us everywhere we went and mapping out this huge, like, database of our entire planet? Because to be honest, 2016 wasn't not really the greatest year of my life or anything. Like, I've had some rough years, in the 2010s, but I do think fondly back on times like that where I could just go on YouTube or go on the internet or something and just have a good time and not really think about whether what I was looking at was real or authentic or not, whether somebody was grifting off of something that I was interested in or LARPing as something that I was interested in, because it just wasn't something that I was really that concerned about. And, I guess I could make the argument that I just get more cynical as I get older, which is probably true, but also like, man, you got like kids who are just like the most jaded fucking people now. Like they're fried in their brains, like completely incapable of having an authentic good time or something, because at any moment someone could whip their phone out and start recording. Like, dude, even now when I go out in public, I just saw this compilation of a guy who gets paid, or like people pay him to remove the little LED indicator disclaimer light on Meta glasses so that they can go record people out in public, without their consent or whatever, which had me just like, every time I go out in public, I just got to like look around. If somebody ever tries to interact with me wearing glasses of any kind, I'm just going to be like second guessing, like, are they filming me right now? Am I about to get rage baited or something? Am I going to end up in a rage bait compilation that just, one of many, one of billions at this point probably? It's just honestly kind of annoying, because the internet used to be separate from real life. It was like you had real life, and the internet was a place that you go to. Like, I'm over here, now I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to hop on the web. And I feel like this has slowly been kind of going away ever since the introduction of the smartphone, but it still didn't really feel like that, because when smartphones first came out, they were kind of shitty and like they didn't work very well. They surfed the internet really, really slowly. You'd only use it as kind of a necessity if you were out somewhere and you really needed to Google something. But now it's like, dude, if I'm sitting at my computer and I need to Google something, I'll just pull my phone out sometimes, because it's just that much more convenient to do that. It's like the internet has become intertwined with our lives in a way that I don't really think anybody predicted happening. And I feel like it does kind of rewire the brain or fry the brain a little bit, and kind of makes you think differently and look differently at things in the world. Like, I was watching this Noel Miller video, and he said that Gen Z, like younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha, is like the first generation who just had no choice and just got spoon-fed schizophrenia straight to them. Like, there was nothing they could even do about it, because just generally information is so unreliable, and just kind of there's so many bad narratives and bad actors out there, and the well has been so poisoned that it kind of just makes you mentally check out from, everything that's going on. I don't know. And I'm not mad about it. I knew that there would be technological innovations in my lifetime. Obviously, technology expands at like an exponential rate or whatever, but I just didn't think it was going to happen so fast, to where I'm like visiting my mom and she's like, I was talking to Grok the other day, and he said that this is the best way to grow tomatoes. I'm like, no, Mom, it's not he. It is not he. Grok is not real. But I was talking to him. I don't know, I just kind of thought I'd have a few more years before my parents started talking to robots in their spare time. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that the internet is completely fried? Do you think it's salvageable? Do you think it's in a good spot? I don't know. Maybe some people think it's in a great spot right now. But I don't know. That's just kind of what I was thinking about it. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys are having a good night or day or wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Hope you're having the best day possible. And I'm going to talk to you guys again pretty soon. Peace.